I've never told anybody this. Not my dispatcher. Not my wife. Not even my therapist. But about 8 years ago, I hit something with my rig. And I just kept driving. It was a rainy night outside Little Rock. I was hauling a load of produce. Running behind schedule, half sick, and running on fumes. Visibility was garbage. Fog. Rain. A cracked windshield that I'd been putting off fixing. I come around this bend and see something dart into the road. Too fast to swerve. Too late to stop. Boom. I hit it. Hard. Felt the thump under my tires. Saw the shape roll under the trailer in my mirror. I pull over, heart pounding out of my chest. Throw the flashers on and grab my flashlight. When I get back there, there's nothing. No blood. No body. Just a deep dent in the bumper and a broken mud flap. I checked again, looked all around the ditch. Called out just in case. Silence. I didn't know what I hit. Animal? Person? Something else. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, trying to figure out if I should call the cops. But I didn't. I got back in the cab and drove away. I told myself it was a deer. A wild dog. Something that ran off. But I don't know. And I'll never know. All I know is I didn't report it. Didn't file damage. Didn't mention it to dispatch. I got the trailer delivered late, said I blew a tire. No one questioned it. I still think about it. More often than I care to admit. And every time I drive through Arkansas at night, I keep my foot off the gas. Just a little. Because I don't want to find out what I really hit. And I sure don't want it to find me. I used to run loads out of Chicago in the late 90s. Mostly reefer hauls. Food, meat, dairy. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid decent. And at the time, I didn't ask too many questions. That changed after one night in particular. I had just picked up a late load from a warehouse on the south side. Real sketchy spot. Didn't even back into a dock. They had me load straight from a bay. Whole thing felt off. The bill of lading just said perishables. No temp instructions, no product weight breakdown. Just a seal and a signature. Whatever, I needed the money. Dispatcher promised a nice bonus if I could get it to a spot in Ohio before sunrise. So I took it. About an hour in, cruising I-90 with almost no traffic. I start hearing a sound. Not the truck. From the trailer, like thumping. Faint, but consistent. At first, I chalked it up to load shift. Maybe they stacked something wrong, but then it started moving. The thumping would shift, left to right. Like something pacing. Now I'm getting spooked. I tap the brakes, ease off to the shoulder, and kill the lights. Step out with my flashlight and walk back to the trailer. The seal's still intact. No signs of tampering. But the moment I touched the handle, silence. Dead quiet. Too quiet. I stood there for a solid minute, hand on the latch. Part of me wanted to open it. The other part? Not so much. I backed off, told myself I was being paranoid, and hit the road again. About 20 minutes later, it started again. Only this time it wasn't thumping. It was scratching. Long, deliberate scratches, like claws on aluminum. From the inside. I cranked the music up, tried to drown it out, but it kept going. I made that delivery just after 5 a.m. Same sketchy setup, no signage, just a guy in a windbreaker and gloves. He waved me back into a makeshift dock and said, "You don't unload, you don't look. You wait for the seal to be removed." I did exactly that. 20 minutes later, he comes back with a clipboard. Seal's gone. Trailer's empty. No issues, he says. Thanks for running it hot. I drove straight to a diner, ordered black coffee, and sat there for an hour. Didn't speak, didn't think. Just sat. I never asked what was in that trailer. Never took another mystery load again either. But I'll tell you this. Whatever was back there, it wasn't meant to be cargo. I used to laugh at guys who talked to themselves on the road. Said it was what happened when you were alone too long. But a few years back, I started doing it too. First, it was just muttering when something on the truck rattled. Then it was full-on conversations with someone who wasn't there. I called her Ellie. I never saw her, never heard her voice. But she was always in the passenger seat when I drove overnight. She never judged, just listened. I'd tell her about old jobs, old regrets, the girl I should have married, the money I lost on that bad repair, the kid I never got to know. I knew it wasn't healthy, but it kept me sane. Sometimes I'd stop for coffee and catch myself grabbing a second cup, just in case. Ellie didn't ride with me during the day, only at night. Only when the road stretched on and on with no one else in sight. One time I forgot she wasn't real. Reached over and opened the passenger door. Started crying when no one was there. That's when I took a break from driving. Thought maybe I was going crazy. Went back home for a bit. Saw family. Slept in my own bed. Didn't hear from her once. But the minute I took another night run out west, I felt her there again. Quiet. Familiar. I don't know if Ellie is a ghost. Or something my mind made up to cope. But if she is real, she's the only one who ever stayed with me. And if she's not, then maybe that says more about me than I want to admit. I've never told anyone this. Not my wife. Not my dispatcher. Not even my brother, who used to run loads with me back in the day. It happened about 6 years ago, in Utah. I was dead tired, running hard to make a delivery window I never should have accepted. I had been up close to 30 hours, off the books. My second logbook was filled out like I'd slept, but I hadn't. I just kept going. Somewhere just south of Spanish Fort, I started seeing things. At first it was just shadows, things moving at the edge of my headlights, stuff I could explain away. But then I saw a man, plain as day, standing in the middle of the lane. I slammed on the brakes, hard enough to throw my thermos against the dash. But when I stepped out, there was no one there. Just the highway. Empty. Quiet. Except I heard footsteps. Not far off. Soft. Deliberate. I got back in the truck, locked the doors, and kept driving. I told myself it was exhaustion. Just fatigue. Hallucinations happen, right? Here's the part I've never told anyone. A few days later, after I made that delivery, I heard on the CB that another driver had rolled his rig not far from that same stretch of road. Single vehicle. Clear weather. Died on impact. They found footprints in the snow leading up to his truck, but none leaving. I wondered every night since if what I saw was real. And if I had stopped longer, would that have been me? Every time I hit that stretch of highway now, I slow down. Real slow, and I keep my doors locked. Not because of what I saw, but because of what I might have almost become. I drove trucks for nearly 2 decades. East Coast, West Coast, border to border. And for the most part, I kept my head down, stayed clean, made my deliveries. But there's one thing I never told anyone. Not my dispatcher, not my wife, not even other drivers. Back in 2009, I was running solo on a route from Kansas City to Portland. Mid-January. Black ice season. I stopped at a truck stop in Wyoming around 2 at middle of nowhere. Just me, a couple old rigs, and one pickup truck parked off in the far corner. Inside, the place was dead quiet. No cashier at the counter. No music playing. No other customers. Just that low hum of freezer units and buzzing fluorescents. I grabbed a coffee, paid at the self-checkout, and went to use the bathroom. That's when I saw it. There was a man washing his hands at the sink. He looked off, older, tall, wearing a denim jacket that looked at least 30 years old. But it wasn't the jacket that got me. It was his eyes. They were pitch black. Not just the pupils, his entire eyes. Like looking into 2 holes cut out of a starless night. He didn't say anything, didn't blink, just stared at me through the mirror. I froze, couldn't even breathe. Then he smiled. Not a normal smile. Tight-lipped. Cold. Wrong. He dried his hands, turned, and walked out. I ran out behind him. There was no one in the lot. No pickup truck. No footprints in the light snow. I told myself I was tired, sleep deprived, hallucinating. But here's the part I've never shared. When I got back to my truck, my passenger door was wide open, and sitting on the seat was a small card. No name, no writing, just a black circle burned into it. I still have that card. It's in a locked box in my garage. I've never shown it to anyone. But sometimes when the road gets too quiet, I think about him and wonder if he's still out there, looking for another mirror, another driver, maybe even you.